Welcome to my channel. This is Calvatron 9000. So we are playing Pillars of Eternity 1. We're continuing on. This is part 3. We have my Calvatron 2nd level paladin, the Dracosi Paladini. He is a fire godlike of Old Valia, and he is an aristocrat. So we are going to continue on with our journey. We have just made our way to Gilded Vale. So we're just going to see what's going on here. Oh, that's disturbing. A tree with a whole bunch of hanging bodies. Let's see.
You must be one of the new settlers. Welcome to Gilded Vale. You'll be pleased to know that we've had some recent vacancies here.
Do you welcome everyone this way? Are you mad? No wonder this place looks half empty. I feel at home already. I might reconsider your lord's offer.
Nonsense. Gilded Vale is a perfectly suitable village for those who respect the Lord's decrees. Besides, you won't find a better offer anywhere else in the Deerwood these days, and you look as if you could use a fresh start.
He looks around at the town, his face a mask of sober contentment.
Of course, we'll need to make some inquiries first. The inestimable Lord Radric VII has taken great pains to insulate our town from Widewind's legacy. Have you ever sired a Hollowborn child?
Let's see. What are you talking about?
An infant born without a soul, of course. Lord Radric has made it his first priority to eliminate this scourge from our village. I should warn you, stranger. Here in Gilded Vale, we have a special place for dissidents, charlatans, and those who would hide a curse in our midst.
He steps to the side and inclines his head ever so slightly towards the deformed tree.
His lordship's wife is with child and due any day now. Without his approval, I shan't be able to find you a permanent settlement. It will have to wait until after the birth. We can continue our interview then, after the bell tolls from Radric's hold to signal my lord's new heir. In the meantime, you can find temporary accommodations at the inn, just southwest of here.
I've been feeling strange ever since a close call with a Biowak. Is there someone in town who could help? You said something about Hollowborn and Widewind's legacy before. Before I got here, I saw several people conduct a strange ceremony near some ruins. That tree over there.
Whatever your problem, it sounds like a matter for an animancer. However, the only animancer in Gilded Vale isn't in any condition to speak. Consider yourself fortunate. After she failed Lord Radric, we saw to it that she wouldn't profit from the misplaced trust of others. A bad cure is often worse than none at all. But if you're set on finding a bottle of troll piss or a dead Audra pebble to rub on your forehead, you're welcome to check her pockets. A little corpse stink is nothing when you're digging for shit. My advice, however, is to be satisfied that you escaped and leave it at that.
I forget that you foreigners do not have this curse in your homelands. The Hollowborn have been a scourge upon the Deerwood for almost 15 years now. He lowers his voice to a whisper. Children born without souls. He shakes his head. Pitiful, dumb things that breathe, barely, and do not truly live. Some say Hollowborn are a disease. Some say they are a punishment from the gods. He raises his empty hands. In truth, no one knows. But they began spreading after the Saints' War, and so the name Widewind's Legacy stuck in honor of the foul, blasphemous pretender. His voice shakes with vitriol. Let's see. Before I got here, I saw several people conducting a strange ritual near some ruins. He regards you carefully. You want to mind where you mention that. Trespassing on Ingwithan ruins is illegal, not to mention dangerous. You probably saw someone attempting some new ritual to appease the gods. People will try anything these days. Barath have mercy. We certainly have. I don't think so. Just as they finished, there was a Biowak. Maybe so. Like I said, it's best to stay away from those sort of places.
Keep
Goodbye.
out of.
Uh-oh.
Listen!
2 tolls. Let that be the last.
3. Gods have mercy.
It seems your arrival is ill-timed. 3 bells toll only for the death of a Radric. I fear Lord Radric's heir is lost, or else Hollowborn, and so lost all the same. You should tread carefully. Circumstances have changed a great deal.
What do you mean? Don't threaten me, little man. He shakes his head unmoved. It is no threat, only a warning. Lord Radric will tolerate no threats to his kin, or those who live upon his lands. Grief will not make him more docile. What happened? He shrugs one bony shoulder. I will know more details when the messengers arrive. The vagaries of childbirth, perhaps, but that is not your concern. What do you mean? You come to us at a time of mourning. The legacy has struck at the heart of Gilded Vale. Our efforts to redeem ourselves in the eyes of Barath must be redoubled. He sets a steady gaze on you. Does this affect the Lord's offer to new turtles? I can be sure of nothing right now. I advise you to get some rest. The inn, or a stable for all I care. Find me afterwards. I will know more soon enough. Farewell.
Were you looking for someone in that tree? I could introduce you.
Looking for anyone who can help me feel better. He gives an understanding nod as he takes a long drag from his pipe. My condolences. He exhales and turns his attention away, watching the village around him. Things are bound to get worse now. Let's see, let's just go to this inn. We're not feeling all that well. You see 4 people gathered by the door to the inn. Their raised voices and chopping gestures suggest an argument reaching its climax. The first figure raises his hand for calm. His face is partially obscured by a hood, but his height and stature suggests an elf.
I meant no offense. Let's put this matter to rest over a round, shall we? My treat.
Hoping to soothe our pride with a few Adira coppers, eh? We don't need your coin.
Everyone calm down. Whatever this is about, I'm sure it's an overreaction. We were humble folk, but we're no fools. Not like he thinks, mocking us while he shelters in our village. We don't take to that kind of talk from foreigners, especially not Adirans.
Go on. Say it again. I'm itching for an excuse.
Fie, you're itching for the kindling touch of your sister, you cocksfeather!
Wow.
I'll cut that barrel-licking tongue out of your head.
This is a misunderstanding. I didn't say whatever it is you think I said. We've nigh quarrel.
That's where you're wrong.
You're not going to take that from him, are you? I don't think attacking him is such a good idea. I don't think attacking him is such a good idea. And why is that? If someone's baiting you as obviously as he is, it's generally wisest to walk away. Because when you'll have to deal... They look at each other. One of the men gives the other 2 a warning shake of his head before turning on to you. We're done for now, but this one better watch his step around here because we're not going anywhere. With a final scowl at the elf, he turns to leave. As the three stumble away, the elf turns to you, the tension almost gone from his smooth
Not
face.
quite how I hoped to get to know the neighbors. Thank you for your timely assistance with that awkward situation.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad I
Courtesy
can
is
help.
a rare pleasure in these parts. Though your accent suggests that you are no more local than I.
He straightens his hood, and you note the remains of fraying embroidery on his gloves. His boots are caked with dirt of many months' travel, but the leatherwork beneath it is sturdy and fine.
I suppose introductions are in order after that little fiasco.
Embroidery
Corvus, sir, at your service.
and shoes. That usually means he's a little bit of a highborn. At least if my limited knowledge of medieval times is true. I suppose introductions are in order. Tell me
I'm
about
a wizard
yourself.
by training, and an adventurer by necessity. I was born in the Seathwood, part of the mainland of the Adir Empire, and both of my parents served the nobility, which afforded me an education for which I'm grateful. However, there were no open positions in those houses, and so I decided to seek new means in a new land. And how exactly did you come to be here? In Gwithan Ruins? Well, those can be dangerous places during the best of times, which these are not. In half the locals would arrest you for trespassing, and the rest would kill you outright. I'm curious, what exactly did you find there?
I look goggles at you silently, apparently assessing your earnestness. Finally, he gives you a clipped, awkward laugh.
You do manage to find yourself in rather interesting predicaments. An excellent question. I came looking for fresh air and cheap land. Instead, the magistrate gave me directions to the inn and a story about the local lord's expectant wife. But I take it that's a familiar tale.
And you? Like you said, I'm also out of there. I've been experiencing strange things of late. I'm looking for an expert on
Indeed.
souls.
The local lord has searched far and wide for similar specialists. He has rid himself of them almost as desperately.
He nods at the gnarled tree at the center of town. His darting glance takes in the tumble-down buildings and the hollow, rock-strewn fields. I expect that such expertise would be best sought elsewhere. Just how did you manage to cross those three
I'm
drunks?
afraid that was a matter of misunderstandings and mistranslations. It doesn't help that people in these parts remember their war with Adir like it was yesterday.
I see. For which I am grateful. Let's discuss something else, shall we? You don't exactly look like a
Begging
settler.
your pardon, but neither do you. Yet, circumstances can find a person in the strangest of places. As should I, given recent events. It's just as well. I've had enough of the watered wine and lumpy beds at the inn. They say even the owner tired of the place. Just up and left one day. It explains quite a lot about the upkeep. Perhaps I could join you. I could use a change of scenery, and I find it's better to travel in numbers.
So do I. Let's go then.
Excellent. I shall follow you.
I'm here.
You don't like spending a night at the inn, but that's where we have to go. I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
So, let's see. Talking to Pasca the innkeep.
Greetings.
Hello, and welcome to the innkeeper looks up. Oh, it's you. Tenfrith told us what you did for him. It's such a relief to have him back. I can't thank you enough. Consider yourself a favorite of the house. Discounts on drinks, rooms. Tenfrith said he wanted to whip up something nice for you. He's already back to work in the kitchen. She laughs. So what would you like? Let's see. Let's go talk to him really quick. Oh, I leveled up. I have 6 points to spend. Let's spend 2 of them there. And we will spend 1 of them there. Yeah, athletics is good for adventuring is tiring work. In addition to the hazards of mortal combat, adventurers have walls to climb, rivers to cross, and pits to leap over. Once per encounter, characters with athletics can use the second wind ability to recover lost endurance. A higher athletics score increases the effects of second wind. In conversations, the scripted interactions, athletics is used for physical feats like climbing, swimming, and jumping. And then lore represents a character's accumulated miscellaneous knowledge and trivia, often of occult or esoteric topics. Outside of conversations and scripted interactions, lore is used to activate scrolls. Higher lore values allow the character to use higher lore scrolls. I already have a pretty high score level in that, but we're going to keep growing that because we can get access to some pretty cool scrolls, and it'd help us become a more heavy arcane warrior type. Now we get a paladin ability. Lay on hand. Fueled solely by belief, the paladin is able to heal the touch of his or her hands, recovering a substantial amount of endurance for the paladin or an ally within range. Or we can focus on something else. Zealous focus, the paladin's intense and pure conviction instills clarity of purpose to him or her and all allies. Increasing their accuracy and converting a portion of grazes to hits cannot be activated with other zealous auras. Inspires the paladin and all nearby allies to charge fiercely into battle, decreases their movement speed, and disengagement defense cannot be active with other zealous auras. Zealous charge or zealous endurance. Fills the paladin and his or her allies with unshakable confidence, increasing the damage reduction and converting a portion of incoming hits to grazes. Cannot be active with other zealous. Let's see. Plus 3 damage reduction, plus 15% of it coming hits. Friendly aura, plus 2 move speed, plus 15 defense when disengaging, 6 accuracy. Oh, so this one is 15% of our hits are converted into. Or this one heals. What is this one? Give us some healing potential, and then we'll probably do the zealous focus next. Tenfrith, the dwarf we saved on the last episode. He was the chef. It's you, my savior. He makes a sweeping gesture to indicate the kitchen around you. It's so good to be back. Do not think I will let this go unrewarded. I have decided that you have earned the right to learn one of my most closely guarded secrets, my dearest recipe. After this, you will eat nothing else. Savory pie. Savory pie to keep you hale and hearty. May it serve you well in your travels.
Good day, stranger.
Let's see. I'd like a room. How much gold do we have? 213. We're just going to do this one. Let's not spend all of our gold right away. I love the little sleeping screens. It's just cozy. Oh. Your sleep is restless and fevered, assaulted by hisses and whispers, blanketed with a suffocating anxiety. You open your eyes to awaken and find yourself in front of Gildevel's gallows tree, the creaking of its ropes growing louder in your mind until the sound is deafening. Hanging from the tree is an old dwarf woman, whose face has shriveled inward like moldering fruit. Her head hangs limply to one side. As you look at her, she looms larger and larger in your mind until she is mere inches from your face. Suddenly, her head snaps up, and her eyes open, and they are empty, and behind them is a vast nothingness that makes your stomach drop. Her mouth slowly parts, and with a gust of rancid air, she speaks a word. Watcher. You jolt awake, the foul smell of the dwarf woman's breath still permeating your nostrils. Sweat runs down your face in thick droplets, and your skin is soaked from head to toe. You remember the woman. You remember seeing her decaying face when you spoke with the magistrate. He called her an animancer. Though it fills you with a new, queasy apprehension, you feel a strange compulsion to see this woman once more, if only to confirm she is truly dead. Well, interesting. We are now speaking to the dead, so this shall go. I don't know. I don't know how I would handle in my real life if all of a sudden I started speaking to the dead. Oh, we got another level up for Aloth, however you pronounce his name. Let's see, lore and mechanics. Let's give you some more in mechanics because you got pretty high lore. That way we can have someone opening locks and stuff for us. Let's see. You can choose 2 spells. Rolling Flame, Ray of Fire. Let's not do that one. That one can get pretty... I don't know. Let's give you that, and then we will give you Necrotic Lance for a good damage spell. Oh, interesting. Kadara di Baranzi. The squat, distended body of an elderly dwarf woman dangles from a thin, crooked bough that sags at the tug of her noose. The bloated purple flesh of her neck, worn away in patches, like moth-eaten linen, bulges over the rope that suspends her, and her lifeless head lolls forward rigidly from one side to the other when the breeze shifts. You perceive a faint glow around her that casts no light on its surroundings, but there is a tepid warmth to it, and you feel somehow that you could reach out and touch it, not with your hands, but with some aspect of yourself that has no worldly dimension. Reach out for the woman. Caldera de Baranzi. You take a deep breath, clearing your mind, focusing on your objective. As you exhale, you feel yourself spreading out towards the hanging woman, perceiving all that lies between you and her with new, unfamiliar awareness. Once you have expanded enough to reach her, there's a sudden jolt to your mind, a ringing electric surge of images and words and sounds. Involuntarily, you shut your eyes and feel yourself being pulled down to some deeper consciousness, in a space occupied only by you and the hanging woman. And when you open them again, she is staring at you with eyes clouded in a milky fog, her body still swaying in a wind you no longer feel from a tree that stands planted in a misty void. The woman gives a slow nod of her head, the rope creaking as she does so, and she smiles at you.
Have you come here for me, dear? Or have you gotten lost? Ah, it is both, I think. Yes?
Let's see. How are you able to speak to me?
Is that what we're doing? Perhaps it just seems that way. Perhaps it is the easiest way for your mind to make sense of it. I think it is a very good choice.
Am I imagining this?
No, I think not. A pity that. It would be simpler. A mercy even. To not have to wander anymore, no? Alas, we are here, you and I. Wherever here may be.
She nods, a look of pity on her face, as though consoling a child.
The world looks a little different than it used to, is that it? Feels like you're noticing things for the first time that have always been there.
She nods.
You have seen past the shroud. It only takes an instant. Your soul remembers, yes? Remembers how it sees when it leaves the body, like being reminded of a dream you had forgotten. You are a watcher now, and a watcher you will stay.
What's a watcher?
What indeed? Long hours have many animancers spent studying such things. Not I, no, not I. I'll tell you what I know, though, since fair is fair, and here we are visiting, you and I, and it reminds me of better times. Souls pass on. Some say through Audra stones, which are the blood veins of the world. They leave the world for a time and are reborn into it, sometimes more than they were before, but usually less and seldom the same. For all souls there is a time where they do not live, yet have not passed on, and those souls roam the world, same as you or I, either living or lost. But no one sees them because they have forgotten how.
Huh. So all souls possess the ability to see the souls, but when they become alive, they forget how. But when you get a glimpse, when as a living person you get a glimpse of the other side, like we must have done during that bio walk during the ceremony on the previous episode, it gave us that ability to be able to see into this world. That's interesting. I played this a few times, but I've never really thought too much about the story, so that's a really interesting point.
A watcher sees, though, knows what to look for. And sometimes they know a person just by looking at them, know where they've been in ages past when their bodies were other bodies. See memories even their owner can't recall. A wonder to behold when all goes well. A wonder!
What did you mean when all goes well? That's worrying.
Oh, nothing to be afraid of, I'm sure. It's just much to take in for some. Sometimes there's trouble sleeping or other difficulties.
She smiles at you reassuringly, fanning out a tuft of long whiskers that sprout from one of her cheeks.
You should see old Meerwald. He could tell you much more than I. A watcher just like you. Helped many in his day. Took up in an old keep no one would claim. Not far, not far. Kadnua, beyond the Black Meadow. He will welcome the company.
I think I survived the Bewak. Do you know why that would be?
Did you now, dear? My, that would be something, wouldn't it? Could be luck, could certainly be. A storm can be a careless thing. Or maybe it got its hands around your soul but couldn't pick it up. A soul can be heavy if it stayed in one piece through its time. Strong souls, we call them in the trade. Cold, I mean. Called them. Those days are all behind me, no?
You said souls break apart over time?
Oh, yes. Entropy. Rimagan's work. We know little of why or how. We lose pieces of ourselves when we die and pick up pieces of others when we are born again, but less than what we lost. We tried to stop it with the animantic sciences, but with little success.
Huh. So as time progresses, souls break apart piece by piece. It'd have to be like the tiniest grains, otherwise eventually everything would lose soul.
A very small few resist Rimergan's influence and stay together through some force of defiance, at least for a time. But they all succumb eventually, I think.
Rimergand is the god of entropy and the final end. I love his quote that his followers have, the end will come in stillness and in cold.
Me? I'll bore you to tears, though.
Who are you?
And here I thought you'd come to visit me in particular. Caldara de Baranzi, of the Valian Royal Academy of Animantic Sciences. Not the greatest of their number, but I came here all the same because this was where help was needed.
What happened to you? She laughs, a raspy, choked cackle escaping between rows of buttery yellow teeth, causing her body to bob up and down with each spasm. Seeing your blank expression, she catches herself.
Oh, come now. Such a question. As though the answer were plain as a rope tied for strangling. Allow an
That's
old
dark.
dwarf her last bit of cheer. Well, I came where I was needed, didn't I? Offered my services to Lord Radric for a pittance. A humble pittance. I was to examine the Lord's wife, see why the gods have seen fit to poison her womb. Studied her for months, looked high and low for impurities, tested her valence, the permeability of her essence. Do you know what I found? Nothing at all. A healthy woman, head to toe, blessed with a beautiful soul. Such a sweet woman, too. Meek, but warm-hearted. A few months' time, and the lord of the house demanded answers. For a time, I told him what he wanted to hear. Oh, yes, my lord. She is riddled with imbalances. I must have time to cure her. As the birth drew near, he grew impatient, as lords do. And this is where I've ended up. A student of the soul. Something so basic, yet so poorly understood. But so many breakthroughs have been made in my lifetime. Had been made. Had been. To hear the locals tell it, we're a gang of soul manglers that preys upon the weak-minded. And the worst of us are. But the best of us? The best? Inspirations. Miracle workers. My parents were soul twins. Miserable before they met, empty inside. It was an animancer who helped one find the other. Turned their lives around. You wouldn't believe the stories. Amnesiacs helped to remember their lives. The suicidal brought back from the brink of oblivion. The elderly afforded extra moments to say their goodbyes. How soon we forget when we're afraid. It's a fascinating science. A fascinating time to be alive in a place like Deerwood that does not control the research, no? I love the Valian Republics for many things, but their recent caution will leave them behind, I fear. Of course. Goodbye, my dear. It was lovely visiting.
Kadara closes her eyes, and her head slumps forward over the noose, and your surroundings seem to bleed into your vision from some unknown place of waiting. Calvatron was granted Crucible of the Soul. Interesting. Aloth looks at you through narrowed eyes. Are you alright? You seemed lost just now. Let's just go with the simple truth. I'm a watcher. Well, that's interesting. He gives you a sly grin, and I expect this has something to do with the hooded figures in the ruins, In any case, I appreciate your honesty. Since we're traveling together, it's probably wise for us to share these things. Do you know anything about watchers? Only that they're rare, and that they seem to have unique insights into certain soul conditions, he coughs, as you just demonstrated. Let's continue on.
17 and a half.
Huh? The smell of pipe smoke, at once earthy and sweet, winds its way into your nostrils. Your eyes trace the smoke to its origin, where you find a broad man with straw-colored hair leaning against a mossy baroque wall, his pipe held to his lips with one meaty hand. He looks you directly in the eye, but the look is not aggressive. He regards you with a peculiar smirk.
17 and a half. Well, could be 18, depending on how you count the dwarf woman.
I'm sorry?
The dwarf woman. You were trying to figure out whether to count her as a full person. I think you oughta.
Okay.
The people hanging from the tree. 18 of them. Well, last I counted, anyway.
I love France. Is that what you people do for fun around here?
Name's Adair. So do the people around here. Might as well be 19.
He looks you up
Don't
and
think I'd put you much higher than 22. 23 tops. You look like the sort that likes to get involved.
What makes you think I was interested in the dwarf woman? He looks at you a moment, his brow arched, his smirk broadens.
I was smoking over here, saw you staring at her. Twice I refilled my pipe. You never so much as blinked.
Dang.
Your mouth was so slack I took you for a radrick at first.
I don't know how long it takes to smoke a pipe, but that's at least a good 10 to 30 minutes. Do you know what a watcher
Careful,
is?
friend. Best not use that word round here. Could be any number of radrick bootlickers within earshot. Ciphers, animancers, watchers. Same thing in the eyes of folks around here, radrick especially. They come through these parts all the time with their cures, preying on the desperate. None of them are who they claim to be. Of course, seeing you with that funny look, I'd be halfway inclined to believe you were having some kind of communion with that dwarf. Either case, maybe I'm not 19 after all. No offense.
Do you think you're going to be
The town's had it
hanged?
in for me for a long time now. Only fellow who ever stuck up for me, well, he's number 18 up there. My headman on the farm. Used to be my captain during the war.
The war? Saints War. Only one in my lifetime. Fella decides he's the living incarnation of Eothas, overthrows Red Saris, marches on Deerwood, so we gave him a deer wooden hello. What's a deer wooden hello?
We blew him up.
He smiles at this, but it is the smile of one recounting a joke for effect rather than enjoyment. Who blew him up? Who's Aethys? God of rebirth and redemption, formerly anyhow. Maybe they call him something different from where you're from. I had other questions. I got time. Why was your headman hanged? Got involved. Raedric sent men down here the other day. Said they had it on good authority. Someone in town was working with Kolsik. I don't know. Plotting Raedric's overthrow. Said if he didn't come forward right then and there, they'd hang every last one of us. No one was coming forward, so Swithin, that's my headman, he steps up and says it's him. They took him at his word. He sighs and shakes his head, his eyes fixed on the tree. Bound to happen sooner or later, if not for plotting against Raedric, then for protecting me. Who's Kolsik? Someone who got tired of all the hangings. He's on the run now, probably will be till they catch him. What does your town have
Picked
against
the
you?
wrong god. That's what it comes down to. Used to be a lot of Aethys worshippers in Gilded Vale. That mess of rocks over there, that was a temple to him, to give you some idea. Then one day, somebody named Widewind shows up on Deerwood's doorstep. Says he's the living flesh of Aethys. Got an army with him. Suddenly, Aethys isn't so popular in these parts. My brother Woden and me, neither of us believed it. No way was that Aethys. He enlisted, then I did too. But, he didn't make it back. After the war, people took to punishing Aethys worshippers, accusing them of treason. Got real ugly, especially after the legacy started. Folks needed someone to blame. I was safe because I fought, but then this rumor starts that my brother, that he was on the wrong side. and I wasn't so safe anymore. Until my headman stepped in and said they'd have to hang him to get to me. Seems that's no longer a concern. Of course, the townies don't do the hanging these days, but when Raedric's men come, they got no problem doing the pointing.
Alec glances at you and lowers his voice. You can see why I was eager to leave. If you're next to be hanged, what are you still doing here? Drinking mostly. Point of fact, I'm on my way out. Just haven't figured out where I'm going yet. Not a whole lot of places out there that don't think Waidwin's legacy started with Waidwin. We could travel together. Where are you headed? Someplace called Cadnua. There's an old watcher there who might be able to help me.
I even remember hearing something about that years ago. He tamed that place. People would seek him out for all kinds of things. Troubles of the soul, questions for the departed. Of course, that was back when you didn't have to say watcher with a hush on your breath. A man such as that, there'd be things I'd want to ask him. Don't know why I never thought of it before. Not sure how I feel about setting out with a stranger, and a strange one at that. But, truth be told, you might be the only one in town who wouldn't feel some relief seeing me swing from that tree.
There's a fine reason if I ever heard one.
Alright then. Guess I'll do some sightseeing. Long as you're not the one picking the sights.
He tilts his head forward and gives you a pointed look. Hey, I wasn't staring at a corpse, I was staring at a soul. Leave me alone. Okay, well, I think that is a good place to stop for tonight. We have acquired 2 new friends after our last 2 died and got their souls literally ripped from their bodies. And I somehow managed to escape that. Then we got our way down here to Gilded Vale and talked to some dead dwarves. I could sit here and count them, but I'm not going to. So please go ahead, subscribe, tune in next time for part 4. We will be figuring out issues in Gilded Vale, doing some side quests and such. And then, yeah, just go ahead, subscribe, like, leave a comment, tell me how I'm doing, what I can do better. I am definitely trying to get my confidence a little more up, getting used to like talking as if I'm talking to someone, but at the same time talking to myself. And then, yeah, we'll go from there. You all have a wonderful rest of your night, and thanks for watching.